Today, we're going to take a look at the built-in support for dependency injection or dependency services in Xamarin.Forms. This gives you the ability to tap into native functionality easily from your shared code, or just create really reusable interfaces for your application that are really testable. So tune in. Hey everyone, I'm James Montemagno. I'm back with another Xamarin 101 video. If you haven't checked out the series, right up there, I'll put it over there in a little card. I've been building out an application from scratch, showing you how to incorporate beautiful, awesome features of Xamarin.Forms into native iOS and Android applications, all built with C# and Visual Studio. We've come quite a long way in our application. We've done a lot of backend services, databases, theming, and a lot more. And today we're talking about dependency injection or dependency services with Xamarin.Forms. Luckily for us, Xamarin.Forms has this built in out of the box, and it's really, really fast, and it's compiled up, and it's got some really nice ways of sort of abstracting your code. Now, if you're new to C# or want to know what dependency injection is, what it does is it enables you to use a powerful feature of C# called interfaces. And an interface is just a definition of what methods or properties are going to be inside of a class. So for example, we have a coffee service, and right now it's a bunch of just static methods that we can randomly call, but we may want it to be a specific interface, so we could swap out a database with another database or a web call. So we create an interface, and an interface we could describe methods or properties. So get a coffee, add a coffee, remove a property. And what's nice here is that with an interface, if multiple classes implement that interface, we know exactly what is going to be in that definition. And this again is really nice if we do want to swap out our database with a different database, want to make a web request, or want to use something else. It's a really nice way of creating reusable interfaces or definitions of what these classes are going to be. The side effect here is that it also enables you to create sort of testable code. You can test these interface methods and properties inside of your unit test without having to construct objects, and you can use a bunch of different test frameworks that are out there like NUnit and XUnit, and interfaces are very popular. In fact, with .NET MAUI, all of the controls are interfaces too, so they're kind of all in that sort of awesomeness, which is kind of cool. Also, it enables you to create a way of tapping into native functionality. So for example, you may want to have like a toast service. So something like pops up a little notification, which we'll implement here together. Well, that doesn't exist in shared code. Like that coffee service is shared code, but how do I reach Android or iOS or Windows or Mac functionality? You can create an interface and then implement it on each platform. And like I said, the nice thing is Xamarin.Forms has this all built in. So let's get started. Okay, the first thing here is I actually have a coffee service. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a few coffee services, but the one that we're going to create today is this coffee service. And it's going to have a few methods such as an init, an add coffee, remove coffee. It also has get coffee, things like that. Now, technically, this init method doesn't need to be in the interface because it's not even public. Interfaces are really just going to describe public-facing methods that we want. So to get started here, we're actually going to use Visual Studio to generate the interface. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove these statics because without that, Visual Studio won't know how to refactor it. Now I'm going to tap on this coffee service, right click and say quick actions and refactorings. And we can see over here, extract interface is right here for us. That wouldn't be there if everything was static, but since it's just a normal class, we can extract that interface. Here it's going to ask us what we want. So we're going to select all, which is good. iCoffee service, that sounds about right. And let's see, add coffee, get coffee with an int, and remove coffee. Notice that it did find only our public methods that are in here, and that's perfect. So let's go ahead and do that. It's going to create a new file called iCoffee service. All right, let's take a look at iCoffee service. There it is. So there's iCoffee service. We don't have to do anything. It's created it all for us. We could have created this manually if we wanted to too, but here's our iCoffee service. Here it has task add coffee. So name roaster, get coffee, get coffee, remove coffee. If we go back into our coffee service, actually nothing here has changed. All it did was implement iCoffee service. Now, if I go and add another method over here, like task do something, all right, and go back into my coffee service, we will see that now we get a red squiggly, and it will tell us that we want to implement that interface, and then it'll implement it here for us. Now, we're not going to do that because we don't have that, but showing you that when you add new interfaces, you need to implement those. With C#9, you can actually do default implementations, which is kind of cool too, which is a nice feature. Now, the cool part here is that actually our internet service coffee actually implements the same stuff. It has like get, it has add coffee, it has remove coffee. So we could actually implement that interface here too, and we could then create reusable sort of ways of saying what coffee service do I want. But let's just stick with the one, keep it simple. We now have our coffee service. Now, there's two ways of telling Xamarin.Forms that for this interface, I would like to use this coffee service. What we do is on top of the namespace, we can do an assembly dependency over here and bring in Xamarin.Forms. Boop. And the dependency shows us what type do we want to bring in. So here we'll say type of, and we'll say coffee service. So we're saying create a dependency for the dependency service that's built in with the coffee service. Now, what this does is this sort of assembly attribute will automatically detect any interfaces that this class implements and enable us to get one, basically a coffee service globally back just from that single interface. We could also get just that class back if we want to, because it'll also register it there for us. Now, I also want to mention that some people don't like these kind of assembly exports. You can actually put them anywhere. So if you wanted to put them in your assembly info with all of your export fonts, you could do that too. Some people like to do this inside of the code when the app starts so they can see all their dependencies. So instead of putting that, dependency there, we can come in here and we could actually say dependency service dot. And notice that there is a get, a register singleton, and a resolve. So there's these three different ones that are in here. So register enables us to register any class. A singleton is obviously a singleton, so you only get one instance of it back, and you can resolve those back. The resolve singleton or resolve and register singleton are newer, but what I can do here is I can say iCoffee service here as my type that I want to register. And then here, oh, that's it. Actually, it's just say iCoffee service or just coffee service. And that will go ahead and do it. So it'll just register it all automatically. So very, very similar there. Notice that there's a single class, but here also implementation. So that's actually probably what I need to do, which is iCoffee service and then coffee service. Coffee service. There we go. So in this case, I had the ability to register just the class or the implementation and the actual coffee service there. So it's sort of up to you. I personally prefer just to keep them right in line right here with this nice assembly export and go to town there. So now let's say we want to get access to this. Well, that's actually pretty easy to do. So if we go into our view models, where we actually had my coffees, if you remember here, we had our coffee service remove coffee. So what we're able to do now that we've registered this specific coffee service, we can come up here and I can say iCoffee service. I'll say coffee service, just like that. And in my constructor, I'm going to say coffee service equals, all right. And then what I'm going to do is say dependency service, just like we saw before, but I'm going to say get. And I'm going to ask to get back an iCoffee service. Now I want you to look here that there is specifically a parameter that you can pass in, which is the dependency fetch target. And that fetch target is either a global instance or a new instance here. So if you want to get a new instance of this coffee service every single time, you can do that. For this, the default is the global instance because it will be the same exact database every single time, which is what we want to use in this case here. So if we want to share services between different view models, that's how you're going to do it. So now all we got to do is come down here, simply say remove right there. And we'll say await coffee service, remove coffee. And here await coffee service. So it's no longer a static. And pretty much there it is. And I think at this point, yeah, there's another one. So here is a good example is we have another page that adds a coffee to the database. So we can do the same exact thing. Take that iCoffee service over here. Take this code that gets the global dependency. There we go. And then what we can do is just drop that down so it's no longer static. And there we have it. Now let me go ahead and compile this up just to make sure we got all the references there. Looks like we have one more, which is this coffee service down over here. Oh, the details page. Perfect. So again, we're going to do the same thing here. iCoffee service. Put this here. When I create this page, we're going to get a reference to it. And then we'll go over into this page, add it here. And again, drop down to not use the singleton. Now at this point, we're ready to go because we have our entire coffee service. It's been created. It is injected, and sort of the injection part of it is we're taking that class and injecting it into the dependency service, which can then go and get it later back for us. And we're using the same instance of it. So once it's been created, it'll only create one and it'll keep it in memory. And if for some reason the garbage collector comes by and sweeps it away, well, don't worry, because next time you get it back, it will go ahead and create a new one for you. So now we're going to go ahead and compile this up and then deploy it to our Android device. So let's give it a second here. All right, perfect. So we have our coffees right here. Let's go ahead and go into my coffee, which is going to be the coffees from the database, which there are none currently because I just installed this application fresh, which is good. Let's go ahead and add this in. So I'm going to say Mott's, and then I'm going to say new coffee over here, hit save, hit refresh here. And then we should get that coffee back from our database right there, which is pretty awesome. I can go, of course, now go in and let's say I went ahead and remove this and open it up again. So let's go ahead and open up the My Coffee application. There we go. And what we should see is if I go into My Coffees now, refresh it up, and then we will go ahead and see that there's my coffee. It's using the same exact dependency injection service, everything there. Now, I will say this, a lot of people keep asking me like, how come you just don't refresh the coffees when you hit the web or when you come in? I could have done that on this on appearing, and I should do that and get the coffees and show them, but they're there when I pull the refresh and I'm good to go. I can tap on one, get some information. Oh, well, we're good to go. All right. So now that we have that in place, let's say we want to actually come in and do a little alert whenever I pull the refresh and put a little toast message up, right? Like, oh, coffee's refreshed. We can do that by coming in and creating another interface. Here I'm going to say new item, and I'm going to say, let me create a new interface, and I'm going to say iToast. All right. And here we're going to make this a public interface. And we're going to call it we're going to put in I don't know, I guess a void of make toast string message. All right. So that's going to be our one method that we have is we're going to implement this somewhere. Now built into Android is toast notifications, which is quite nice. So what I can do is come into my Android application here. So I'm going to come into my main activity. And let's just go ahead and come in and create a new class, public class toaster. And I'm going to implement iToast. All right. We're going to bring in that here. We're going to bring in and implement the interface. And now all I need to do is say toast dot. And then here, make text. And then we'll say platform dot over here. So we need to get access to the context using Xamarin Essentials .app context. The ID, which would be a string that we want to do, but we can actually just pass in a string over here, which is going to be the message. And then I'm going to do toast length.long.show. All right. So I actually tapped into some Android specific, implementations here. And just like you'd assume, I can come up and say assembly. And I'll say dependency right here. I'm going to bring in that Xamarin.Forms namespace. I'm going to say type of toaster. All right. Again, bring in this namespace. Now, whenever I go ahead and add something in here into the database, or pull to refresh, let's do that, pull to refresh, it'll go ahead and do it. So let's go into the My Coffee view model. Now, in this case, we want to make sure that that toaster exists. I haven't implemented an iOS, maybe I never will. But let's say over here, when I'm done, I want to make sure that it's not null. So what I can do is I can say dependency service .get iToaster or iToast, right? And then I'm going to do a question mark dot over here. And what this does is it's null coalescing. So it comes in and it says, if this toaster exists, call the method. Else, stop and don't do anything, which is really, really nice. So here I'll say refreshed. Okay, look at that. So very, very simple. So if this thing over here is null, if I'm on Windows or I'm on iOS, it's not going to do anything. Else, if it exists, it will go ahead and pull it up and do the toast that says refreshed, and then we're good to go. So this is a really great way of tapping into that native functionality in case Xamarin Essentials doesn't give it to you. It's also nice because you can then implement a fake iToast in your unit test, for example, and then you don't have to worry about it running on an actual platform. You can describe what it does. Let's go into My Coffee. I'm going to pull to refresh. Everything is working correct. Pull it over. There it is, refreshed right there. Let me do it one more time so we can see it. It's now tapping into that native functionality via the dependency service. And there you have it. It's really just that easy to start using dependency injection inside of your iOS, Android, Windows, Mac application with Xamarin.Forms. Now, I know there's probably going to be a lot of questions around IOC or inversion of control. This is something that you pass interfaces into a constructor and then it creates it automatically. I'll link to a blog post in which I outline sort of the Microsoft extensions way of doing this, which is similar to ASP.NET Core and which is how also .NET MAUI will work. So this is one of those things where I don't know if the dependency service will come along for the ride, but there'll be a new way of doing it in .NET MAUI, which is even smoother, which is really exciting too. But I do like that the dependency service is just right there. There are a bunch of awesome third-party libraries out there that you can use. I just want to show you what's in the box. No need to install any other NuGets or anything like that, and it's readily available for you. Hope that you found this video and of course all my videos super helpful in building your Xamarin.Forms applications out and to get them ready for .NET MAUI. If you did like the video, give it a thumbs up. That goes into the Google algorithm of goodness. Of course, it recommends it to other individuals watching stuff on YouTube. And of course, subscribe and hit that notification bell. That helps you stay up to date with videos that I'm putting out here on my channel. If you want a little bit more, you can also follow me on Twitter at James Montemagno and subscribe to my brand new weekly newsletter. You can go to newsletter.montemagno.com. It's in the show notes below, and I'll put a banner right here over my face that shows it, which is quite cool. I just started that back up, and I love to have you, part of that journey with me as I do weekly newsletters talking about all cool things in the world of tech. All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, I'm James Montemagno, and thanks for watching.